What? These guys again? You tune into the Facebook page belonging to Malcolm Tent on Wednesday at 7 p.m. and thought maybe you'd seen enough of this CDs waving around, the They Hate Us, Get Back in the House CD. There it is, making a return. You know why? I'll tell you why. Because I am Malcolm Tent, and this is Tent Talks Tunes, and I'll do whatever I want. Self-determination is alive and well here on Facebook. The doubters and naysayers can gripe all they want, but me, I'm having a good time. I'm having a great time here, talking to all of you, my frantic fans, loyal listeners, and vibratory viewers, right here, as it tends to happen Wednesdays at 7 p.m. I'm going to guess that I am indeed going live. As anybody who's watched Tent Talks Tunes more than once knows, that I am having constant issues with my server and with my camera and the blah 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 and the yak 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 involved with live streaming. The camera issue has been addressed. Thank you, Dama Dorada y Esposa para la cámara. Much obliged for that. But that still leaves me with the same old damned internet that I have to wrestle with. But looks like we're on live. Hey, engineer, am I on live?
Yep.
All right, I'm on live. That's good to know. Maybe if anybody has any comments or anything that are interesting, you can read them out to me, and I'll. All right, we've got the great Leslie Wimmer in the next room on her, excuse me, on her laptop watching live. So even though, as usual, I can't see what's going on in the live stream, she can. And so if anything interesting pops up, which is not to say that any of you guys are less interesting than the others, you're all interesting, and I'm glad you've all tuned in. Anything that requires my immediate attention, she will scream it out in a loud, shrill, shrieking voice, and I will hear it, and I will act on it. Yes, I will act on it. All right, so as you might have guessed by the live stream description, 12 days on the road, and I finally made it home last night. Yeah. Excuse me, Dave Dudley would know exactly what I'm talking about. 12 days on the road. My goodness gracious. Where does a guy go for 12 days, you might ask? Well, I'm going to tell you. Wish I had my map here. I would illustrate it for you, but sort of let's step into the make-believe ballroom here and put on our imagination caps and picture a map of the good old US of A. And imagine starting in Danbury, Connecticut, hopping into my '08 Subaru and traveling due west to the great city of Cleveland, Ohio, and then almost due south, maybe southwest, to the great city of Hickory, North Carolina, and then from there to Charlotte, North Carolina, and then back to Hickory, and then almost exactly due northeast back to Danbury. Wahoo! Now you might ask, well, gee, that's a pretty short itinerary, really. There's only 3 cities on there. How do you fill up 12 days in only 3 cities? Well, I'll admit I forgot a 4th. There's a 4th one in there, Spartanburg, South Carolina, even more southwest from Hickory, and then Hickory, and you'll figure it out in a minute. Why would I do it? Why would I do it? Well, the items that I have here that I'm going to do show and tell on today on Tent Talks Tunes will illustrate the story very graphically. Very graphically. We'll get to that in a minute. As you know, before we dig into the meat of the matter, and I'm of course talking about vegan lunch meat, kids. This guy right here is vegan powered, and I do love the vegan lunch meats. They sustained me for days and days and days on the road. All I need is a package of synthetic turkey, a bottle of mustard, and a loaf of good organic whole grain bread, and I am off! Shooting off like a spark. Shooting off my mouth. Shooting off my intellect. Shooting off hot riffs in all kinds of settings. I just can't stop, kids. I just can't stop. For example, if you want to know how this brain works, how this 3-pound loaf works, I took a nap shortly before coming on here because the 12 days I was out were non-stop action. Even when I was driving, I was on the move, if you know what I mean. I get very relaxed when I drive, but still there's deadlines, there's schedules, there's all kind of stuff. So it's really not possible to totally relax for an entire road trip. So it's a lot of being wound up the whole time. And so I got home yesterday, I guess around 7 p.m., and immediately got to work. I started mixing audio. I started catching up with my email, my friend requests, downloading stuff, uploading stuff. I mean, I was just like really gung-ho to get back into the home office here and get to work. Because, excuse me, as much fun as I had when I was out there, I love to get home and get back into my work because I'm a happy workaholic. So I kept going until 3:30 this morning and was delighted when I woke up way earlier than I normally do. I was like, wow, this is cool. I guess this trip energized me. I didn't sleep hardly at all last night, and I feel like $1,000,000. So I woke up and I kept going. I took a run around the neighborhood. I went to the shoreline and breathed in the deep river air. Came back home, started working, working, and ran errands and did whatever I had to do. And then I felt like I was going to pass out, like flump. So that's what I did, and I set my alarm for like 6:45 tonight. So you guys are seeing a freshly awakened Malcolm Tent, who is probably going to be a freshly sleeping Malcolm Tent again once I'm done with Tent Talks Tunes. So anyway, I woke up from my nap almost immediately before going on air, and I want to put this out there so people don't let me forget. Don't let me forget. I woke up with this idea for a dirty country song called Gorilla Groin. Yes, Gorilla Groin. And I whipped out my handy telephone. I whipped out, and that's not an analogy or anything. An actual cellular telephonic device. I whipped it out, started typing, and somehow my song about the Gorilla Groin morphed into a song about a parking meter Peter. I did not.
Very cute.
I did not pay for that reaction. It's a genuine, honest-to-God, spontaneous reaction from engineer Leslie Wimmer. Yes. So I've sent it out to a couple of people already to make sure it doesn't get lost in the ether forever. If you're one of the lucky recipients, I'm sorry. But that's just the way it goes. I cannot stop the wheels from turning, baby. Big wheels keep on turning. Carry me down that dirty country road, writing them songs. They just won't stop. So maybe that's why I'm here to give you Tent Talks Tunes on very little sleep. I don't know. Anyway, first, before we dive into the big pile of swag, you can see the corner of it right here. It stands about yay high, but I promise it won't take all day. We do have to check the mailbox, and I have been the recipient of a small packet, or a petit paquet, from my good pal Michael Lesser, former resident of sunny, runny South Florida, current very happy denizen of British Columbia, Canada, and he sent me an envelope. It's kind of a, you can say, small packet. And by the way, that is the address. You can see Malcolm Tent, P.O. Box 3626, Newtown, Connecticut, 06470. I just want to make sure I don't show Mike's address anywhere. It's on the corner. It's not on the envelope. You see my address twice. So good it had to be repeated twice. And Michael Lesser, the artist formerly known by another name for one of the great South Florida punk rock bands. I'm talking about the Gay Cowboys in Bondage, baby. He sent me something, and he assured me that it was okay to do a cold reveal live on Facebook.
And he's watching tonight.
Engineer Leslie says that he's watching. Mike, I'm living up to my end of the bargain. This is a cold reveal. I didn't show your address, and this is definitely a sealed petit paquet. Sealed. So I'm hoping you live up to your end of the bargain, and this is not the equivalent of the dirty country song I wrote. I'm hoping that ain't it, because in spite of writing a song called Parking Meter Peter, I'm very easily embarrassed. So here we go. We're going to unzip this thing. Yeah, I said unzip this thing. I know. Going to unzip it, open it up, and let's see what's inside. Hey, I got some packing material. That looks pretty good. And then we got some more packing material. That looks great. I love packing material. Packing material is good. I will reduce myself to reuse and recycle it. This will be packing material at some point. This is packing material, and that's packing material, and this is packing material. And as promised, oh man, this is so cool. This is so very cool. As promised, from deep within the Mike Lesser archive, a record that when I first heard it in 1984, I kind of just wanted to give up because this record was so good. So good. And my band in South Florida in 1984, Broken Talent, the very last show we ever played, we attempted to do a version of the first track on side one of this record, and our version felt far short of the mark, because it's a great song. I'm talking about the Gay Cowboys in Bondage. This, my friends, is an OG, original pressing from 1984 on the Sublapse record label, run by our old pal Barry Soul, aka Barry Soltz, who might be watching. If not, hope you're watching later. Sublapse put out the Morbid Opera record, put out a Psycho Daisies record, and put out the Gay Cowboys in Bondage record. This is an awesome record. It's not only completely silly and ridiculous. Boom! Owen Marshmallow strikes again. There's a very definite undercurrent of seriousness to it. There's some really... The Gay Cowboys always tackled some pretty serious themes, but they did it in a way that came off very lighthearted. Perfect balance. Fantastic. Top shelf musicians. And Mike Lesser is a really, really cool dude. If you're in the mood to see some amazing Lego work, check out his profile. I guarantee satisfaction for all you Lego maniacs out there. Mike, thank you so very, very much for this. This is going straight into the personal collection. This is a record that is not for sale. And I told everybody that there are going to be plenty of records for sale on today's Tent Talks Tunes, as per request, but not this one. Thanks. I will mention that also due to the good graces of Mr. Mike Lesser, he has given me the go-ahead to do an official legitimate reissue of the Gay Cowboys anthology. They put out a demo cassette entitled We're Not Gay, But the Music Is, and also the aforementioned Owen Marshmallow 7-inch. He also sent me an exclusive unreleased Gay Cowboys track from an abortive reunion show that they were going to do a bunch of years ago. So that's going to be out on TPOS, an honest-to-God reissue of the demo and the 7-inch. It's not going to have the same artwork as this, because this came out on the Burrito record label. Hello, Bob Surin. But it will happen. Might take a while, but it will happen. So keep an eye out for that. Thank you, Mike. Other news, before we get into the big old pile of swag, I was waving this thing around for a reason, the They Hate Us, Get Back in the House CD. This is 11 songs of pure mayhem by my band They Hate Us, which is myself on the guitar, P.P. Duvet of the Murder Junkies on lead vocals, the immortal Dino Sex, a.k.a. Dino the Naked Drummer, on drums, and Naughty Fred Dahmer, Naughty Fred Dahmer, a.k.a. Mike Dietz, on the bass guitar. This is our full-length album, and it is available on hard copies from myself. If you look up on Discogs and eBay, it is available, I think just on Discogs. It is now on Bandcamp. Yes, it is now on Bandcamp. People have been pestering me forever to get this thing digitized so they can suffer from a bad case of digitalis. It's happened, kids. It is on Bandcamp. Just look up Bandcamp. Malcolm Tent, my personal profile on Bandcamp's got a lot of my different bands, a lot of my solo stuff, and it now has the full They Hate Us album for listening. And if you're so inclined to download and or purchase, it's up to you. Just give it a listen. I don't expect anybody to buy anything, but give it a listen. I really love this album. This is total down in the gutter punk rock from Putnam County. It really can't go much lower than this. You have my personal guarantee on that. I am proud of this album. This is good, dirty fun. Maybe I do have that dirty streak in me after all. I don't know. All right. That's the mailbox. That's basically the bulletin board. Let's get into the swag, shall we? I will attempt to do this in order. And I think I can do it by kind of shifting things around a little bit. Like I said, I'm on very little sleep and very little organization, although everything I need is here at my fingertips. Excuse me, that annoying cough I had a few weeks ago is rearing its stupid head again. But it ain't so bad. I ain't dead yet. Yet, of course, being the operative word as it always is. Destination Cleveland. Drive straight out to Cleveland, Ohio for an event coming up that was almost 2 weeks ago, the 20th anniversary edition of the DEVOtional Devo Fan Gathering. Oh boy. Yet another way in which Devo were decades ahead of their time. I recently had a word added to my vocabulary, which is cosplay. I'd seen the word, like I've seen it written in posts and people talking about cosplay, but my reading vocabulary is a lot different from my spoken vocabulary. So I see the word cosplay. I didn't know what it was until Sir Barry Hannibal, the drummer for the almighty ANTiSEEN, his 14-year-old daughter explained to me that it's cosplay. I thought it was co-splay, as in co-splay, as in people splaying together. Had no idea what it meant, didn't care. But she explained cosplay, costume play. Well, gosh darn it, the Trekkies might have done it first and taken a lot of stick for it and a lot of ridicule, but now the entire world is doing it, this cosplay stuff. And we, at the Devotional, started doing it over 20 years ago. A bunch of music freaks, geeks, nerds, and weirdos all dressed up in various Devo-related gear for a weekend. That ain't cosplay, I don't know what is. So I drove out there, as I have every single year except for one, to partake in the festivities. The focus of the whole thing for my activity was to play in a group called the Super Thing, which is a Devo cover band, tribute band, whatever you want to call it. It featured a core set of players, myself, Scott Orsi, Nick Chasulo, Matt Lindsay, aka Poopy Necropond, from the great Sockeye, ridiculous noisemongers, Sockeye, so Poopy Necropond on stage, and Mark Cozy on various instruments. And we would have guests come up and sing or play keyboards or theremin or whatever. We had people from the Fantastic Plastics, from Fight Milk, from the Devo-Matics, and we also had David Kendrick, who was Devo's drummer from 1987 to 1996. He's been a regular guest, and he is always gracious enough to come up and play some songs with whomever. He played a couple of songs with me. He played a few songs with the Super Thing. So to get to play music live on a big stage in a great venue like the Beachland Ballroom in Cleveland is worth driving out for. Very, very much worth it. And when you get a guy like David Kendrick on stage, whose musicianship is just you can see my screen doesn't go high enough to measure the level of musicianship we're talking about here with David Kendrick. When someone like that sits down behind the tubs and makes them erupt, that's cool. That's really cool. So great fun. And of course, in my usual kind of pack rat way, I picked up a few things. One was something that was already in the personal collection, a Devo 12-inch single of a song called Baby Doll from the much reviled and greatly maligned album Total Devo. It's very, very far from being my favorite Devo record, but I will put it on occasionally. I did just the other day. It's a great sounding record. It's a good record. Is it a good Devo record? The jury is still out 33 years later, but 'tis what 'tis. Won't stop me from getting it autographed as much as I can. I had autographs by Bob One, the guitar player, Jerry Casale, the bass player and chief strategist of Devo, and now David Kendrick, the man who actually played the drums on this record, autographed my 12-inch single. Not for sale, kids. Not for sale. It's not for sale. You can't have it. I still need to get Mark Mothersbaugh's signature on there, and it's probably going to be very tough. But, hey, you must whip it. That was from the Devotional. Also from the Devotional, you pick up all kinds of just ephemera and weird knickknacks and gewgaws. Some of the weird knickknacks and gewgaws are found in a bag over here. Let's see if I can get my bag of effluvia and ephemera here. Oh dear me, my bag of effluvia doesn't have the Devo stuff in it, so I can't show you that. I'm sorry, guys, but I picked up some devotional candles for keeping evil spirits out of your home, from keeping de-evolution at bay. Got some Funko figures, and I also got a lot of the stuff that I just love. I mean, talk about ephemera. Handwritten set list, computer printed set list for the Super Thing, another handwritten set list for the Super Thing, another computer printed set list for the Super Thing, and an actual lyric sheet for the song The Super Thing, which I did not sing, but I did play guitar on, which is very, very cool and very, very fun. And so somebody was handing out this strange handout about there's some company called Devo, which is about cybersecurity. I am in no way advertising them because their name is highly unoriginal and derivative. But there it is. I got it. It's going into the paper collection. I just can't help it. So I spent all those days in Cleveland with good friends, good spuds, good people, making good music, having a good time, and looking maybe borderline silly, but not caring in the slightest bit. It's cosplay. Cosplay. You don't like it? You better lump it. So, there we go, on the road from Cleveland, Ohio, down to Hickory, North Carolina, where I spent a few days in the company of good friends and good people. On the way, I hit record stores. Oh my God. For any of you who do know, I'm going to tell you again. If you don't know, I'm going to tell you right now for the first time. My label, TPOS, which can be found on Discogs and eBay. Excuse me. It's my label. That's part of how I make my living. I release records. And the only distribution I have is in the back of my car. I will load up crates and boxes of records and cassettes and drive all over this great land of ours from record store to record store, humping and schlumping and schlepping the stuff in, saying, "Hi, would you like to buy some records?" And the intelligent record stores, of which are actually the majority, say yes. And I say, well, don't give me the money yet. If you buy a bunch of my stuff and put the money in my pocket, I'll just walk out the door with it because that's the way my mind works. But if I browse the bins before you put the money in my pocket, I'll find stuff to trade because I love the trade. And I found a couple of Devo-related items, and these are for sale. I was kind of thinking I would save them for devotional next year because I did bring a bunch of used, rare, and collectible Devo records, and they went very well. People bought a lot of Devo records, which was really great, including some of the more, common titles, some of the less rare titles, because when you've got Jerry Casale and David Kendrick right there in the room, that's autograph fodder, kids. So sales of Devo records were very good. So, the basic plan is, I want to put these aside for next year, but anybody who wants them, if you want some very obscure and arcane Devo-related records, I got them. And I am neurotically peeling a price tag off of the cover because I hate old price tags. They drive me bats. Ugh, I don't want to look at some old damn price tag, and I'm assuming that you don't either. It's got to go. Got to go. Gone, gone, gone. Obscure Devo items. Check this out. You want obscure? Here's obscure. Jermaine Jackson, the album entitled Let Me Tickle Your Fancy. There he is on the front. There he is on the back. And what's this got to do with Devo, you might wonder? I'm going to tell you. This almost hit record from 1982, has the title track, Let Me Tickle Your Fancy, which features backing vocals from people mysteriously credited as Spud and Pud Devo. A careful listening will reveal that Spud and Pud Devo are Jerry and Mark from Devo. And if you want to see some genuinely devolved, demented, and downright borderline disgusting visual proof of Spud and Pud Devo's involvement, look up Devo. Look up Devo Magical Musical Halloween. And you'll see how low Devo could go. Magical Musical Halloween. It's something else. And it's got ample evidence, if you find the unedited clip, ample evidence of what the connection is to Jermaine Jackson. It's quite a connection. If you want it, I got it. Talk to me, people. Talk to me. Here's another extremely arcane Devo-related piece. Which, yes, I want to save for devotional next year, but, you know, the price is right. This, I'm sure a lot of you people out there, if you're New Wave fanatics, know Toni Basil. She had the hit single Mickey, and her album Word of Mouth featured not only Mickey, but 3 Devo compositions. It had Space Girls, it had Be Stiff, and it had a song called You Got a Problem, which later became Pity You on the Devo New Traditionalists album. Sold 17 boatloads of albums. The ships were basically sinking in the harbor under the weight of all those Toni Basil records waiting to get to the marketplace. So you'd think that the follow-up album would be a red-hot, surefire hit. Well, it wasn't. The album sort of came and went. Another stupid old price tag. I've never even heard it, you know. I'm not really a great big Toni Basil fan, but I am an absolute mark for Devo. I just remember that at the time, oh, Mickey, you're so fine. Mickey, you're so fine. You blow my mind. Hey, Mickey. Hey, Mickey. I hated that song. I didn't care if there was Devo involvement with the album. I hated that song. So I wasn't going to listen to the album, and I sure as horse hockey wasn't going to listen to the follow-up. I just wasn't. Provided I could have even found a copy when it came out. I never even saw this record until years later. I mean, years and years later, decades later. I had no idea this thing existed. So I picked it up, was reading the credits, and okay, very interesting. The usual stuff, produced by Richie Zito, produced by some other guy on some other track, additional production by blah, blah, blah. Oh, additional production by Jerry Casale of Devo. Engineered by Bob Casale of Devo. And cover inspiration by Jerry Casale. They don't actually give him credit for the layout, but we do know that Jerry has, in his own words, dabbled with fashion and layout and stuff like that. So I would imagine he probably sketched out what the cover art should look like, and probably even the clothing, and probably even the pose, knowing him, and somebody actualized it. So you've got some involvement by the Casale brothers on this Blink and You Missed It record by Toni Basil. Found one, I got it. It's for sale. Buy it. Please. If you don't, I'll see you at Devotional next year in Cleveland. If nobody buys it today or tonight or in the next couple days, I fully intend to have it in my crate at next year's Devotional Devo Fan Gathering. Don't miss it. Cosplay veterans in the house. Now let's see, is that all the Devo related swag I got? I think that's about it. Okay. So that takes care of Cleveland. And as we know, I've worked my way down to Hickory, and from Hickory to Charlotte, to play a show with a band. But we'll get to that in a minute. Hitting all these different record stores, I found all kinds of stuff, and things that really float my boat. Forgot to mention one thing I got at the Devotional. This is a great record. I haven't even heard it yet, but I know it's great. I already know. The Miss Bits. I think they're a 2K, maybe a 4K ROM memory computerized hardcore band doing Misfits inspired songs. As their album says, the disclaimer on it says, this is not a Misfits record, it is superior. That's the kind of moxie I like. You will never catch me drinking a bottle of moxie, sorry Mark, but I will admit moxie when it's in the house. And it's got a wonderful Japanese resealable poly bag. And we'll get to the great country of Japan again in a minute. You might have already gotten a hint as to what I'm going to talk about. Black vinyl, big hole, true to form graphics. I love this stuff. So thank you to my good friend of Mabel, aka Alex Brunel, for gifting me with the Miss Bits record. And you know me, I'm going to send you something in return. I know I've sent you a bunch of stuff. Actually, I gave you something at the devotional. What are you bugging me for? I already gave you something. Give me a break. So unreasonable. Friend of Mabel. Hey, difficult friend of Mabel. Kids today. Anyway, record stores between Cleveland and North Carolina. And North Carolina and Connecticut. Oh, record stores. I found all kinds of great stuff. I found one that I am keeping for myself. This came from one of my favorite shops, My Mind's Eye Record in Cleveland. My pal Charles, if you're watching out there, Charles. I don't consider this to be plugs. I mean, if someone runs a cool record store and they're a cool person and I like them, I don't mind mentioning the name of their store at all and telling what they got, you know. If for some reason, and I once again stress, tiny little minority of record store people I run into who aren't pleasant or aren't cool, then I'm just not going to mention you. You know, I'm not going to smear anybody, but you basically don't exist. Tiny minority. Basically everybody I run into is cool, and I have a really good time hanging out with them. So if you see me walk into your store, we're going to have a good time, man, if you want. Lots of fun. So at My Mind's Eye Record, I found one of these records that I'm extremely fond of. Nobody in the world cares about these at all. I mean, nobody wants these. Generic, cheap knockoff records on cheesy, sleazy, cash-in record labels from the 50s and 60s and sometimes even early 70s. This label, the Hit record label, would offer you not one, but two hit songs straight off the charts at a super bargain price. If a regular 45 RPM single costs, let's say, 49 cents in 1966, one of these would cost 19 cents. And they were aimed very much at the very, very casual consumer, a sort of consumer who would become extinct not too long after the 60s. Somebody who just wanted to hear the song and didn't care who it was by or didn't even think it was important that the record was by a particular artist. They just heard, oh, yeah, the song, Day Tripper, One Way Ticket. Yeah, that's a cool song. Oh, here I am at Woolworth's, and I'm next to the candy counter, and they've got this, oh, there's Day Tripper, and it's only 19 cents. I'll take it. One Day Tripper is as good as another. Never mind that this is by a group called the Jalopy 5. Not those pesky Beatles, but the Jalopy 5. If you look at these hit records, you will see many, many products of the so-called Jalopy 5. Who even knows who the Jalopy 5 were? I'm sure they didn't know from day to day who they were. And the B-side is She's Just My Style, which I've never heard of, by Jason Allen and the Gigolos. I have no idea. The beauty of these things...
Gary Lewis and the Playboys.
Excuse me?
Gary Lewis and the Playboys.
Oh, okay. Leslie Wimmer, the engineer, has informed me that Jason Allen and the Gigolos is a very, very bad take on Gary Lewis and the Playboys. And She's Just My Style is a Gary Lewis song?
Yeah.
All right. Mystery solved. Thank you, Leslie Wimmer. She not only taught me how to run a record store, she knows her Gary Lewis and the Playboys catalog. So this is pretty cool. Dubious distinction indeed, but a distinction nonetheless. So, yeah, I haven't listened to this yet. My hope, my prayer, my fervent desire is that it's really, really bad. Really bad. I'm hoping that this is a terrible record. Because the typical MO for these labels was to have the Jalopy 5 or Jason Allen and the Gigolos show up in the studio at 9 in the morning, give them a great big stack of sheet music, or maybe just records, and a lot of times by the sounds of these things, just records of current hit singles, and say, okay, boys, we need 20 of these by the end of the day. Learn them and record them. They got to be at the pressing plant tomorrow. Hop two. And to keep your job, you had to record 20 singles by the end of the day. And because of that, as you might guess, quality control was never an issue. Never once an issue. And some of the results of these things are truly subliminally ridiculous. To the extent that on my aforementioned label, TPOS, found on Discogs and eBay, I have a compilation entitled Fake Beatle Records of 1964. I got like an entire album's worth of the absolute worst, bottom of the barrel, pathetically done, horrible versions of Beatles songs from the height of Beatlemania. I mean, look at those guys. You're supposed to look at that and think it's, well, the Beatles. Good thing you didn't look too closely before paying your 19 cents. But I love these things. They're terrible. So here's one comp, and if that record by the Jalopy 5 is bad enough, it'll make it to a future volume. Promise. Pinky promise. So that to me was a big score. That was a lot of good fun, man. Good fun. Also found a very interesting... why did they put these price tags on? You can tell, guys, that I have not slept at all since getting home. Normally, I'm a lot more better prepared for this. I would have taken the price tags off already instead of doing it live on the air. But people have commented that they like to watch the work person in progress. They like to see a craftsman in action. So just in case you're wondering how to take off a pesky price tag, thumbnail and move very, very slowly. And if it doesn't want to come off, there's a number of different really noxious chemicals you can use. Lighter fluid is one of them. Goo Gone is not one of them. I made a Facebook post a couple years ago about what happens if you apply Goo Gone to the surface of a vinyl record. Goo Gone will not only remove the stain from the grooves, it will remove the grooves. It will take the grooves clean off of a record. So don't do what I did. For God's sake, don't do it. Don't do it. And people might ask, I'm going to head you all off of the path, off of the paths now. You might ask, well, what record did you ruin, Tent? Mr. Smarty Pants with the Goo Gone. What record did you ruin? What I ruined was, from what I understand, the very first ever Nirvana bootleg 7-inch, which came out before they were even famous, before Nevermind had been released. Extremely early, extremely rare. It had some tenacious gunk in the grooves. I thought, well, I'll just hit it with some of this Goo Gone. And, well, that record, I mean, yeah, it does still exist, but it ain't quite the record it used to be. And put that on my short list of life's regrets. Anyway, I peeled it off. I found a Record Store Day repressing of the awesome Pussy Galore debut 7-inch. And this came out Record Store Day 2012. So this thing is almost 10 years old. And this is just like one of the best ever slices of Lower East Side New York. Sludge, clang, noise, Sturm und Drang. The old analogy was if Sonic Youth were the Beatles, Pussy Galore were the Stones. I think that's a pretty fair way of putting it. So originals of this thing are really hard to find, and actually the Record Store Day version is pretty hard to find too. So I was very happy to find this and bring it back to Connecticut. I was thinking about keeping it, but I'm going to sell this one. So if anybody wants this Pussy Galore RSD 2012 reissue, hit me up. It's in perfect condition. I eyeball all of these before I sell them. Black vinyl, yellow label. I have no idea what that means, but I'll find out if you want me to. It's here. It's now. It's wow, Charlie. Let's sell. Another record I found while perusing the 45 bins. This one came from a place called Crate Diggers in Hickory, North Carolina. And did a lot of business with those guys. They were pretty cool dudes. This one just kind of jumped out at me. The William S. Burroughs and Gus Van Sant single. This is a pretty cool thing from 1990. This came out on a label called SOL, or Soul if you want. SOL/Soul was a record label co-owned by Bob Mould of Husker Du, Sugar, and current long-running solo guy. He wrote his autobiography that he loved 45s. So in the early 90s, when the major labels were actively trying to stamp out vinyl, he very audaciously began a label that released only vinyl 45s. A lot of them were on colored vinyl. A lot of them had picture sleeves. The ones that didn't had these really cool custom SOL generic sleeves. And, I thought the catalog was kind of hit or miss, but this is just really neat because it's William S. Burroughs. I mean, what else do you want? William S. Burroughs on a red vinyl 45. And mint condition. I ain't figured out the price yet, but I will. If you want it, hit me up. It's first come, first served. I should clarify that. People, if you want it, jump on it. Comment on it immediately if you want it. Or as Peter Grant would say, immediately. Hop on it. The longer you wait, the worse your odds. You got to get on it because there are people who want these, and the competition is stiff. It's stiff competition. Let's drink a big jug of Danbury Tap to stiff competition. What else did I find? Found a copy of this one. This is a record you see around a lot, but you never see it in the breathtakingly mint condition that the vinyl is in. I mean, this thing looks like it came right off the press. It looks so good. It is clean. And it also, for some strange reason, some kind of weird mispress, I'm going to guess, doesn't have a back cover. I've never ever seen a misprint like this. I'm assuming it's a misprint. It's got to be a misprint. There's just simply no back cover on it. I don't even know how anybody would get the back cover slick off if they wanted to. These things were glued on like hardcore. People make a living by trying to peel the slicks off of Beatles butcher covers, and it's a long, painstaking process. To me, this just looks like there never was a back on it. So that's kind of cool. Kind of esoteric, kind of cool. You could say it's new and improved. It's definitely blue cheer. You want it? I got it. Hit me up. ASAP. ASAP. Blue cheer. Play it in the middle of the night, really loud, like really loud in the middle of the night, and you'll see exactly what kind of firearms your neighbors own. It's a accurate test. Very accurate. Very accurate indeed. So what else did I get? Oh, look at this. Just in time for the Christmas season. Oh boy, a couple of records by John Fahey. The great John Fahey. Solo acoustic guitar like you're not going to hear it hardly anywhere else. He released not one, but 2 Christmas records of very, very deep and obscure traditional Christmas songs, along with favorites and classics that we all know. I mean, you've got Christ Saints of God Fantasy right next to Silent Night, on this album here. And on this one, you've got Jolly Old St. Nicholas right next to these are all pretty well-known songs. Okay. So I just learned something. A lot of the obscurities on this album, mostly faves. It says popular songs of Christmas and New Year's. So if you guys want to have some really, genuinely lovely guitar playing, doing Christmas songs this year, I got them both on vinyl. They both passed my very discriminating quality test, and they're both here. And they are priced to move, baby. As I'm fond of saying, I'm not running a museum, I'm running a record store. I want them out of here. I want that stuff to be converted into, cat food. As we know, Harry the cat, he's a voracious little feline. Is Harry over there?
He's eating.
Hey, Harry's eating, even as we speak. What do you know? Thank you, Leslie, for the update. Harry's eating, and that's why I need to sell records. He just never stops eating. Oh, my God. Excuse me. Now, if John Fahey could be considered sublime, maybe Discharge could be considered ridiculous, as in ridiculously intense, as in ridiculously frightening, as in ridiculously harrowing, as in when you listen to this, you wouldn't want to be these guys, because their vision is apocalyptic. These are 4 frightened dudes who channel that fright into pure rage. The most stripped down, I don't want to say out of control, tightly controlled, basic riff punk verging on hardcore, played faster than most bands played at the time, and with more fury and ferocity than most bands played at that time. First time I heard a Discharge record in 1985, I thought my head was going to end up looking like this, actually. I thought my head looked like that by the time that Discharge record was done. Ferocious. So whenever I see a Discharge record, I pick it up. And this is a repress on the Havoc record label. Felix, if you're out there, hello. I'm inclined to keep it, but if somebody wants it, I'll hook you up. I'll sell this to you at a very reasonable price, because this is one of those albums that is absolutely in the essential listening category for punk rock, for proto-hardcore, for blind nuclear rage. I mean, these guys started an entire genre. Look up D-Beat, the letter D hyphen beat, D-Beat. There's about 278,000 D-Beat bands out there, all modeling themselves after this band and primarily this album. I wanted to start a band called Depeche Charge as a hybrid of Depeche. I wanted to do Depeche Mode songs in the D-Beat style, but nobody took up the challenge. Anybody out there want to start a D-Beat band called Depeche Charge and do it with me and play fast and furious, raging versions of Depeche Mode songs? I'm your man. Are you my dude? Are you my chick to play these songs? Are you the man or the woman who can meet the challenge? Hit me up. Depeche Charge. It's ready. It's ready to go. I digress. Found that one at Hausfrau Records in Cleveland, Ohio. Didn't catch the guy's name, but he had wrestling ephemera in the store, and you know, that alone is a ticket to ride for me. And we talked about a lot of cool stuff and did some good business. So Hausfrau Records in Cleveland, thank you very much. Now this one, I think these all of these came from Crate Diggers and Hickory. This is a really cool record. This is a really neat record. This is one that you see around a lot. Smiling Men with Bad Reputations by Mike Herron. The record itself, I think, is decent. It's decent. But there's a song on here. First time I played it, it immediately pricked my eardrums because it sounded just like The Who. It's a song called Warm Heart Pastry. Sounded just like The Who. It's like, wow, I don't know who this Mike Herron guy is, but he's got The Who sound, like, down, man. He nailed it. Who did he get to play on this record to sound exactly like The Who? Ah, I see. Pete Townsend and Keith Moon. All right. There you go. Warm Heart Pastry. Just imagine The Who, but with a different vocalist and a much more restrained bass player. But that locomotive juggernaut of Keith Moon and Pete Townsend, I mean, I consider that to be the rhythm section. And it sounds just like a train rolling down the tracks. It's a hell of a song. So I was very happy to pick this one up. And I've already got a copy, so anybody out there who wants a really cool and obscure listening experience, I recommend this one. Love it. That song in particular. The rest of the album's pretty good too. So hit me up. First come, first served.
Okay, we have somebody that wants that Discharge record.
Oh man, somebody wants the Discharge record that I wanted to keep for myself. Who is it?
Kit E. Cat.
Kit E. Cat. All right. Kit E. Cat. I'll tell you right now, Kit E. Cat, I know you have good taste. I've seen your posts. I've seen what the comments you leave on the various photos. I know you have good taste, so for you, I'm going to do it. I'm going to part, although it does hurt me tremendously. I'm going to do it. I'll do it. Discharge record goes to Kit E. Cat. I'll hit you up a little bit later. Genuinely, honestly, I think that when I'm done, I'm going to go straight back and take another nap because I'm beat. I am bushed right now. So, but we'll settle it. You got dibs, Kit E. Cat. It's yours. If you like my price, I'll send it out to you. A toast to capitalism. The mighty juggernaut that rolls on, crushing everything in its path. Now here's one that I didn't know much about. I really knew very little about this record, and I was always very, very suspicious of it. There's all the damn old price tags. Yeah, here are the craftsmen at work using that fingernail to get the pesky price tag off. This price tag is probably 50 years old. Maybe not that old, but at least 30. I got part of it anyway. I was always very, very leery about this because it prominently features the name, if you can get that there, Lightning Rod and Jimi Hendrix. Now, and it's called whatever it is, Doriela du Fontaine. And it's got the name Alan Douglas on it. Okay, that's basically 3 strikes and one of these records would be out. Now, if you want to hear an absolutely twisted mole hole of a story about the record industry, look up the names in one sentence: Alan Douglas, Jimi Hendrix. It's almost too much to get into in one episode of Tent Talks Tunes. I might have even done an episode on this, which is of course archived on my YouTube channel. Just saying, you really should go there and subscribe. You should also subscribe to the ANTiSEEN YouTube channel, which I curate. More about that in a minute. I'm a very competitive guy. Like, I try to get people to subscribe to both. But I've noticed that the ANTiSEEN YouTube channel, as of this moment, has 13 more subscribers than my personal channel. What's up with that, guys? Come on. ANTiSEEN is obviously a very, very worthy cause. And I work very hard to keep the channel up and running. And I take a lot of delight and pleasure in running the ANTiSEEN YouTube channel. It's a great thing. It's a very, very cool thing to do. But 13 subscribers more than me? WTF! WTF! I'm about to have a hissy fit over here. A tizzy! A meltdown. It ain't easy being me sometimes, kids.
You're going to bed soon.
I know. I am going to bed soon. You're seeing the dark side of the tent right here, kids. Anyway, normally seeing an obscure record that came out in the 80s by, you know, somebody and Jimi Hendrix with a name like Doriela du Fontaine with the name Alan Douglas on it is a lot of reason to not buy the damn thing. However, this is actually the rarest of beasts. This is a genuine track that Jimi Hendrix recorded with one of the guys who was either in the Last Poets or hung around the Last Poets. I forget the exact connection, but you have a real, honest-to-God collaboration between Jimi Hendrix and somebody in the orbit of the Last Poets. Now that is badass. That's real badass. Haven't heard it yet, but I just know it's bad. How could it not be badass? Jimi Hendrix in 1967, 68 with one of the Last Poets? Dude. And I'll just say, too, if y'all don't know the Last Poets, look them up and fasten your seatbelt, because it's a bumpy ride, dude. Last Poets, first album especially, the self-titled album with the yellow and purple logo on top. Wow. You could play that one in the middle of the night to ward off your neighbors after blasting the Blue Cheer. You'll scare them to death with that one, depending on what neighborhood you live in. You might make new friends. I don't know. But that's a record that does not compromise in any way, shape, or form. So Jimi Hendrix and somebody associated with the Last Poets, it's got my vote. Anyway, I'm not keeping it. It's for sale. I think it's on colored vinyl, too. Nope, black vinyl. There it is. Also minty fresh. Meets my exacting standards. First come, first served. What else did we find? Oh boy, this is a good one, man. Who in the world doesn't love Soupy Sales? Who doesn't love Soupy Sales? I think if you don't love Soupy Sales, you must be a creep of some sort. I personally am not a creep. Soupy Sales, Spy with a Pie. The title alone is worth the price of admission. Not only that, but the record is in great shape. I mean, you find these things a lot, but they're almost always, they've been ice skated on. This one is in absurdly good condition. This is probably the single best, cleanest copy I've ever seen. I hesitate to use terms like mint or near mint, but this thing is really, really good. So if you want an extremely uncommon, super clean opportunity to listen to Spy with a Pie by Soupy Sales, a record that I stand by personally, hit me up. I'm here. I'm yours. I'm your man. This is not a museum. I must reiterate, this is not a museum. This is a roadside tourist stand that sells records. Here's another one that I picked up. I am probably going to sell this one. I'm most likely going to sell this one. I do reserve the right to give it one listen, though, before I actually do sell it. This is a vocal duet that I love, the Louvin Brothers, Songs That Tell a Story. The Louvin Brothers, they were active, I believe, from the late 40s to the early 60s. This is real. This is honest to God hill music. Country. When I say country, I mean country music. Driven by a mandolin, or maybe it's a dobro, I forget. I think mandolin and acoustic guitar. And these guys, they've got vocal harmonies like you will not hear anywhere else. I've got some Louvin Brothers on CD in my car, and man, I'll try to sing along with the Louvin Brothers, and I can't do it. You know, I don't fancy myself to be a singer per se, but I can hit the notes. You know, I play all over the world doing acoustic solo guitar and singing. I sing backing vocals in ANTiSEEN. I do use the voice, but by cracking, these guys' harmonies are just like, they're otherworldly. I don't know where these guys get their harmonies from. Probably from, you know, as they grew up, you know, they were literally cotton pickers when they were kids, and they got their break in music, realizing they could play music and make as much money in one day as they could in a week of picking cotton. So the choice was very easy. If you like the Everly Brothers, I guarantee you, the minute you hear the Louvin Brothers, you will know exactly where the Everly Brothers come from. The Everly Brothers are real good, but the Louvin Brothers, they wrote the blueprint. They authored the book on that sort of vocal harmonizing. This is the real deal, and it's also got some really good biographical notes on the back, which once again, I reserve the right to hang on to this one long enough to read the notes and play the record at least once if anybody wants to buy it. But I really do want to hear this. Love the Louvin Brothers. Really good stuff. Tent recommends it. Here's another one. Oh, boy. These next two I'm going to keep. Actually, this next one and a half I'm going to keep. This is a record that, you know, anytime I see something like this, a band called Diamond Rio from 1978, and a band who looks like this, I'm drawn to it. I'm really drawn to it. Original rock from the late 70s on an independent label. This stuff, to me, is like put a collar on me and hook the leash up. Drag me right to it. I want this kind of stuff. These guys are from Pittsburgh, PA. Pittsburgh! We love Pittsburgh. And yeah, there's, I don't know if it's deliberate or not, there's definitely a bit of a Cheap Trick vibe there. And it's all original. Yep, all original, unless Bright Lights Big City is the great Jimmy Reed song. I'm not sure. I can't read the credits. But it's original rock music from 1978 in Pittsburgh, PA. And they look like they want to rock. This is before the disease of hair metal infested this great country of ours. Those guys look like they know how to rock. Like, really know how to rock. I wouldn't mess with them. So I'm keeping this one, at least for a while. I played it for a little while in the store, and it sounded really good to me. So big salute to Warren King, Robert Johns, Frank Zuri, and Norm Nardini. If any of you all out there, talk to me. I want to know more about Diamond Rio. I really do. This is the stuff that floats my boat. Not for sale. Now, this next 1.5 records are for sale. When I say 1.5, I mean because anytime, kids, anytime I see a copy of the exciting Wilson Pickett, and it's in good shape, and in this case with the shrink wrap still on it, and in this case, the absolute classic tan and pink Atlantic Records label, you know I'm going to grab this sucker, and it's in really nice shape. It's not totally mint, but it's in pretty nice shape. What I think I'm going to do, and I've definitely on Tent Talks Tunes, I have talked about the exciting Wilson Pickett and what this record meant to me when I was a wee little kid, like 3 years old, 4 years old, and what it still means to me now. You drop the groove on side 1, put the needle in there, and Land of 1,000 Dances kicks in. Goosebump City, baby. Goosebump City. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this version of the record because this is like the one I grew up on. This is the one I remember from when I was a kid. This one's in lesser condition. I have a white label promo of this very album, original from 1966-67. I'm going to keep the lesser condition stock copy and I'm going to sell the white label promo because this to me is the way I remember it. So if anybody out there wants a really nice looking white label promo, original, exciting Wilson Pickett, hit me up. So that's what I meant by half. I'm half selling, half keeping. Stock copy mine, white label promo, could be yours. And finally, at least as far as that part of the trip goes, another one of those records that I see every once in a while and it just jumps out at me and I pick it up if I think it's reasonably priced and I can then turn around and sell it for a reasonable price. South Florida heroes, kids, the Cichlids. Be true to your school. Their one and only album. This is power pop defined. This is one of the bands that I read about when I was a teenager in South Florida. I was too young to see them. They were legendary. I never got to see them. Only the record survives. And power pop. If the guitars had been mixed up louder and more aggressively, it probably would have been punk rock. Either way, the songwriting is nonpareil, baby. This stuff is catchy and it moves. Leslie, are you there? What do you think of the Cichlids?
I think they're great. They were one of the better bands in South Florida, and they were definitely power pop.
Don't know if you heard that, but Leslie was there, so she is standing behind my word about the Cichlids. I love it when people buy this record because A, I love talking about it. I love the background, and kind of like the Diamond Rio, I just love this really obscure late 70s, early 80s original music that just never broke out of its region. These guys never made it out of South Florida, but they were great. All right.
Neil Agenta.
Oh, we got.
Might need the Cichlids if it's a clean condition.
Neil, the record is clean. I'm going to give it a double check before I actually flog it to you. But Neil, if you want it, you will have it. Neil is officially the first come, first served on the Cichlids record. Thank you, Neil. That means I'll probably be able to buy 1 or 2 bags of kibble for Harry the cat, and he will devour them so quickly that my head will spin.
Yep, he's on the couch sleeping.
All right, that's Harry. He ate, now he's asleep. He does what cats do. So anyway, there I was in Hickory, and from Hickory, I finally pried myself away from the record stores and went down to Charlotte for rehearsals with the almighty ANTiSEEN. Yeah. We played a gig at our home away from home, Ground Zero in Spartanburg, South Carolina. An awesome venue. Mick from Ground Zero, if you're out there, hello and salute. Sam, the sound man, if you're out there and you're watching, salute. You guys know how to run a venue and you guys know how to run sound. Every time that I've played there with ANTiSEEN, with Sam behind the board, it's just been like, it sounds the way it should sound. Loud, clean, and powerful, both on stage and in front of house. A musician's dream, or even a guy like me, a noisemaker's dream. So we played in this gig at Ground Zero in Spartanburg with EYEHATEGOD. That's one word, E-Y-E. I Hate God. If you don't already know him, you should. And it was just fun, fun, fun. 3 of the guys from EYEHATEGOD came up on stage and did a version of Two-Headed Dog with us, the great Rocky Erickson song. It's on YouTube. Look it up. It's on YouTube, free floating. I also put links to it on the ANTiSEEN official YouTube page, and I'm pretty sure I did on my own YouTube page as well, which you're going to subscribe to both of them, I know. So ANTiSEEN with EYEHATEGOD, fantastic, good fun, super cool guys, always a pleasure to share the stage with them, and in this case to actually get them on stage with us to do a song that everybody in the bands loves. And I'm not at liberty to say anything, but let's just say that there could very well possibly be some projects coming up. As we all know with ANTiSEEN, there are always a million projects. We got stuff on the front burner, the back burner, the neighbor's stove, front burner and back burner, the campfire down the road, the diner down the road on the grill. We got so many projects on so many burners. We need an octopus to take care of it all. But just think, there is conceivably something relating to ANTiSEEN and EYEHATEGOD somewhere down the road. I can't guarantee it. I can't promise it. But there's a certain natural mystic in the air, if you know what I mean. So we played the show. It was fantastic. And Jeff Clayton, the unimpeachable president for life of ANTiSEEN, who is a harsh master and who wields a wicked whip, also backs it up with a kind quip. So I said, boss man, I need ANTiSEEN merchandise to sell to the people because I'm out. I'm totally out. I ain't got none. I got no ANTiSEEN vinyl. And Jeff Clayton said, son, I'm going to take this ANTiSEEN Walking Dead tote bag and I'm going to fill it with brand new factory sealed ANTiSEEN product. Now, if you people don't know anything about this band I'm in, this is your chance to find out. I got some stuff, kids. These are all brand new, factory sealed, back catalog. I'm not actually on any of these, but these are the records that I was listening to for years and years and years and was a fan of. This is the stuff I was listening to that I was marking out to. ANTiSEEN, Southern Hostility. Southern Hostility demos. You don't know how badly I damaged my hearing playing these records when they all came out. And EP Royalty, the extended 12-inch version of EP Royalty. Chock full of classics. Honor Among Thieves, the first album by ANTiSEEN. I got it in 1986 and I cranked that sucker up. My neighbors hated me. I think there might be some colored vinyl variants here. I see some colored vinyl sticking out. Not sure exactly what that means, but colored vinyl equates excitement. So we'll have to find out what's up with that. Live in Austin, Texas, from the 2011 lineup, which besides the lineup I'm in now is my personal favorite. This is one of the rawest slabs of, I'll go ahead and say it, fucking noise you're ever going to hear. This is raw and brutal. Raw and brutal. Recorded from the back of the room with a microphone. The way it should be. The Monumental, live in Japan, ANTiSEEN. The packaging on this thing is worth the price of admission alone. Gatefold sleeve, Obi, poster, deluxe insert. I mean, this thing's out of control. And then, as if that weren't enough, one whole box. I am now in charge of distribution in the Northeast. Might look like a nondescript box to you, but if you read the sticker carefully, this is the ANTiSEEN Murder Junkies LP from 1991. The brand new version on a brand new color of vinyl. What's the color? I can't read it. Can't read it. Nope, can't read it. But it's colored. It's a different color than previous issues, and it's got an alternate sleeve. Let's crack this thing open and find out. Here's another completely unscheduled, unrehearsed unveiling of a box. This is fun. And I have to thank my friend Michael Pilmer for giving me this idea to rip off. He unboxes his mail live on YouTube and live on Facebook, and Michael Pilmer is an ace fella, so look him up. There it is, the new version. And I am the sole Connecticut, Greater New York area distributor for these. You can get these directly from ANTiSEEN.com, you can get them directly from Jeff Clayton, or you can get them directly from me. Either way, you win. And I got one last item to show you guys, and I'm out of here. Woo, shake the foundations. I can't believe I've been on this long. I'm going to fall over, but not until I show you that yes, PP Duvet, if you're out there, per your request, I got you a can of Skyline chili. I wouldn't feed this stuff to my cat, but if you want to eat it, go right ahead. And the official chili of the Clayton Manor in North Carolina is Bunker Hill. I found a can of Bunker Hill, which once again I'll keep my opinion to myself, although everybody in the Clayton household knows my opinion. I'm going to try to turn PP Duvet onto this as well, because if it's good enough for North Carolina, it's certainly good enough for Putnam County. So do you know how hard it is to find this stuff in a grocery store in Ohio or North Carolina? You figure just walk into any old grocery store in Ohio and find the Skyline or the Gold Star chili. It's not easy to find. I found one of Skyline and no Gold Star. And I found one supermarket that had Bunker Hill, but I didn't want to buy a whole bunch of it just in case PP Duvet doesn't like it. So this is the tester. And when I'm in town next time, if it flies and he likes it, I'll buy more. Yes, I'm full-blown vegan and have been for over 20 years, but if my friends want some slop in a can, I'll get it for them. Because I love my friends, and that is no lie. It might come across as a facetious statement, but it's a true fact. You want it, I'll get it for you. The best thing, maybe, that I found while I was driving along Interstate 40 in North Carolina between Asheville and Hickory was an honest-to-God, genuine blue roof Stuckey's. Yahoo! See? People light up when they hear about a Stuckey's. A real Stuckey's. Same deal. I'm not going to go too much into it. Look up Stuckey's, and you can see why when I was a kid taking road trips with my family, that Stuckey's was like, that was it. Stopping at Stuckey's was as good as, if not better, than stopping wherever our destination was. Gatlinburg, Tennessee, a battlefield in Virginia, Disney World, Cape Hatteras, didn't matter. If there was Stuckey's on the way, that meant that the trip was double dynamite. There was a real honest-to-God Stuckey's on Interstate 40 with the original sign, the original blue roof, and an entire room of silly, ridiculous souvenirs like these shot glasses. All of them printed up in the classic vintage style of Stuckey's glassware. Man, these things were $3 each. And one of the reasons why I'm able to lead the lifestyle that I do is because I'm extremely frugal and I don't spend money. But I couldn't help it. I bought like 7 or 8 of these things. Vintage style shot glasses from Stuckey's. It was a real Stuckey's. And these are going to go in my kitchen to be nestled happily amongst my salt and pepper shaker collection. Yes, you heard correctly. Malcolm Tent collects salt and pepper shakers. Vintage salt and pepper shakers, preferably made in Japan. So I got a bag of these sons of bitches, and I love that. And also, I mentioned Jeff Clayton, the harsh, demanding, uncompromising master, who also has at least 12 carats of gold in his heart, pulled me aside and said, "Hey, Tent, you scrawny little runt, I want you to try something on." And he had Sir Barry Hannibal with him. I was like, oh boy, okay, here comes the swerve. If Barry Hannibal's involved, there's going to be a swerve somehow. Okay, what do you got? He says, try this. Try on this jacket. Okay, try on the jacket. Fits pretty good. There wasn't, wasn't itch powder in it. It hadn't been fumigated by a stink bomb. Very comfortable and warm and very nice. All right. Okay, that's cool. Now try on these pants. You can see, I normally don't give people the waist down view, but, running pants or, tracksuit with the sportswear capital Tokyo, Japan logo on it. And we've got some authentic Japanese text on the back. They fit great. And it said, JC, they fit great. What's the swerve? Are these infected with Ebola? What's the punchline here? I don't get it. He said, dude, the guy who makes these, and I'm going to try to get the story correct here, the guy who makes these helped promote the series of shows that ANTiSEEN played in Japan, as immortalized on this piece of vinyl. And he wrote me and said, hey, I'd like to send you a tracksuit. What size do you wear? Jeff Clayton said, I wear XXX, 3XL. The guy in Japan said, done. I will send you a 3XL tracksuit. Jeff Clayton gets it, and lo and behold, the Japanese 3XL size fits me. The lightest man on the squad. Probably the only member of ANTiSEEN that there has ever been who clocked in at less than 200 pounds. I'm probably the only one. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, this dude, 136-pound me, fits very comfortably into a Japanese 3XL tracksuit. So I love this thing, and I don't intend to take it off. I wore it on stage in Spartanburg, and it seemed to go over pretty well. So I think this might be, from now on, my ANTiSEEN stage wear. What do you guys think of that? You like that? You think that me sporting, styling, and profiling this authentic Japanese tracksuit will look good on stage? I think it'll look pretty badass. I've actually got a pair of red sneakers that should match the striping and give me the athletic look that I crave. I can't manage it alone, but with this tracksuit, I just might be able to pull it off. So there you go. And God, can you believe it? I think I actually covered all the bases. Covered all the bases with the exception of the set lists from Spartanburg. A band called War opened up for us, WOR. I got their set list. And of course, with ANTiSEEN, I've got my personal stage left set list with handwritten notes. Those I'm keeping because I'm just that kind of guy. And that's it, gang. Gang, guys, gang, gals. I'm so tongue-tied and twisted, I'm going to go to sleep, like right now, and get some rest, because I'm bushed. Thank you guys, seriously, for tuning in as you do every week for Tent Talks Tunes. So glad to have you here. I'm going to be staying put for the next 3 weeks or so, and then it's back to Charlotte to record the bass tracks for the brand new ANTiSEEN full-length album, and to play our annual Christmas show at the Tipsy Burrow in Charlotte. That's December 18th. It's a free show. We're going to have fellowship hour before the gig. Come down early, get yourself some delicious Tex-Mex, and hang out with us in ANTiSEEN. Mr. and Mrs. Clayton will have their table holding court. The rest of us in the band will be milling around and talking to people and hanging out and just having good, warm times with our friends and our fans, and our family. And people say to me, man, that must be some good gig if you'll drive 13 and a half hours one way. Yeah, it's a real good gig. It's a real good gig. It's a sweet gig. I've told the guys in the band that I'm bass player number 12 by my reckoning, and I'm going to be the last bass player that ANTiSEEN will ever have. If I have anything to say about it, I'm it. Y'all are going to have to stretcher me out at the end of this story. I do not intend to rock the boat. Don't rock the boat, baby. Rock the boat, don't tip the boat over. Rock the boat, baby. Rock the boat. I'm delirious. I'm hallucinating. I'm going to stop this thing right now. So I do hope to be back in about 167 hours' time. Until we meet again, this is Malcolm Tent saying so long from the Nutmeg State.